Welcome to Nightmares and Grief, a place to explore and celebrate the darkness. Each episode, I'll read stories written by me, Derrick Heisey. So settle in, check under the bed, and pour a drink for the skeletons in your closet. It's time to start.
The worst part about the pills working, he thought, was that he no longer wanted to kill himself. Before the pills, he could still cling to the hope that if he could no longer bear it one day, escape was possible. Now, escape was no longer an option, and he struggled behind a wall of ennui. Before the pills, the thoughts came easily. Overwhelmed by life, he could conjure the terrifying fantasy of a gun, feeling its weight, the heft of the handle. Imagine rubbing his thumb over the stippled grip before pulling the slide back. He heard the double click, first of the bullet ascending into the stock, and then the snap of the tiny brass lozenge entering the chamber. The spot on his temple where he pressed the imaginary barrel went warm and stayed warm long after he'd finished the fantasy, a seductive reminder of his options, reminiscent of the terrifying excitement when he'd asked Jenny Hasanow out and she'd said yes. He could do hard things, he could do scary things, and they were often good. He pictured the shiny bullets in his palm, let the cold brass warm against his skin, and considered how similar they were to his pills. They were heavier, but about the same size and shape. They were sleeping pills. If he took them, he could finally get some rest. He had no opinion of what would happen after he died, though he'd given it great thought before the fantasy started. He wasn't sure what he believed in now, if anything, so he surprised himself when he summoned the demon. Desperation drove him to books. If he knew enough, he'd feel better. When nothing on the self-development or philosophy shelves helped, he widened his net. He learned rituals promising to crack the universe open. He drew sigils and gazed into flames while reciting mantras. These things helped, but he didn't know why. He found a book called the Goetia. It cataloged demons and detailed instructions to summon them. He watched video after video on YouTube of men in yarmulkes and women with black makeup explaining how to cast a circle and protect oneself with the names of God. The naming of things makes them real, they said, and knowing a thing's name gives one power over it. Armed with a value pack of Walmart tea candles and a Swiss Army athame, he poured a circle of iodized salt and stood in the center, clutching the book. In his excitement and desperation, however, he'd missed a crucial component of the ritual. He didn't know what to ask for. This posed a problem, as the Goetia explained that each demon was used to acquire a different specific thing, and he needed help with everything. Anything would dispel the fog of desperation in his heart. All he had was the nebulous sense of wanting to feel better, wanting his life to be better. The plastic sticky tabs protruding from the book thrummed like a choked drum roll as he ran a hand over them. Which one to call upon? He'd memorized them all and knew their rank and function. What name would serve him best? At last, he thumbed the pages of the grimoire like a flip book and shoved a finger into a random spot. Epos, 22nd Demon. So be it. He set down the seal, chanted the invocation, and spread his arms wide to receive the entity. His hands trembled. He was ready. He was ready to receive the thing, to be taken away and replaced, to have his life made better by its possession. Nothing. He took a deep breath, eyes squeezed shut, and then recited the invocation again. Nothing. Feeling ridiculous, he went to bed and tried to forget about the whole thing. He awoke in the middle of the night to the smell of rotting flesh. Light from beneath the bathroom door spread in a trapezoid, revealing the dingy carpet. Humming, low, off-key, and bold, emanated from behind the door, made ethereal as it echoed off the tile. He checked his phone. 2:22 a.m. No messages. The humming stopped, and so did his heart.
Since you're up, could you get some toilet paper? You're out.
His feet went cold. He'd never had a night terror before. What could he do to wake up? He thought about all the novels he'd read, all the movies he'd watched. "Move your big toe," he commanded himself. It moved, without a modicum of effort. A simple thing. The stories always made it out to be a grand endeavor, some kind of invisible battle of tremendous wills, the mind against itself. The triumph filled him with warm, golden power.
I'm going to use your towel if you don't help me.
He was sure that his vision darkened around the edges, though he was hard to tell in the nighttime. His throat tightened, and his blood pumped so hard his fingertips throbbed. He twitched, and with the little flutter of his leg, he realized that he could move. There were no restrictions placed upon his body, mental or otherwise. A hole opened up near his bowels, and the warm, golden power flooded out. The bed went damp. From the bathroom, a rustle of heavy cloth. A groan. Flush. His breath came so fast that he couldn't distinguish an exhale from an inhale. A switch flicked and the bathroom fan sputtered into a nasal, high-pitched yawn. The doorknob rattled, and the narrow beam of light spread into a yellow film that covered the room. He'd expected the figure to be taller. Truthfully, he didn't know what he'd expected, but it was not this. The thing's body was triangular, with a waspy, furry waist supporting a broad, thick chest covered with dense, snarled fur, shaggy like a lion's mane. From it sprouted the long, elegant neck of a goose, decorated in pure white feathers. As the creature's form sunk in, he realized that he'd expected something leather, more anthropomorphic, perhaps black with wings, horns, and cloven feet. The realization embarrassed him, and the creature laughed.
No one does. I mean, a goose? What demon appears with a goose head?
It shrugged.
More than you'd think, but they are not very frightening.
He pushed himself so that his back pressed against the wall. He swallowed. The creature stood in the bathroom doorway, fingers fidgeting as if it was stretching them expectantly, readying them for some kind of work. He swallowed again. The snake-like neck swiveled about on the Atlassian shoulders as unsettled as smoke. The black, beady eyes inspected him, shifting its face from one side to the other, as if each eye could observe him better from its independent side. A long time passed like that, each of them watching the other, watching them. Finally, the creature broke the silence.
What do you want?
It struck him as an unusual question, for he'd expected to ask it himself. His heart fluttered, his jaw quivered, his tongue dried, grew hard, and stung. The creature cocked its head.
Am I speaking the correct language?
It stared a little longer before opening its beak to produce a series of guttural sounds as harsh and sharp as a good knife gone to rust.
Tu etiam dire.
Then the creature paused once more, flung its head to the other side of its mountainous shoulders along the broken question mark of its throat, and then spoke in what he was almost certain was Spanish.
Mira, amigo, me estás poniendo de los nervios.
It blinked. It blinked again. A long time passed between blinks.
Look, window licker, I know you speak English. Don't mess with me.
The reaction took a second to process. It had to travel through his balls, up his gut, and into his mouth. I don't know what to say. The creature flinched, disgusted.
You summoned me here. You performed the invocation, cast the circle, and said the rite. You're telling me you summoned a creature from another dang dimension and didn't, I don't know, prepare a list?
A list?
Yeah, a list. Every dopey wizard keeps a journal and writes their hopes and dreams and progress and stuff.
When he didn't react, Epos narrowed its eyes. The creature brought its big, heavy paw to its flat, orange beak. He waited. The fingers melted off the matte, rubbery goosebill and collapsed at its side.
What do you want?
It repeated the question as if it was hard to ask. It was a hard question to answer. He knew what he no longer wanted to feel, but what did he want to replace it? The creature shook its head.
I can't take something away. I can only give things.
That made him stop. What did he want? What would make him happy? Was happiness even what he wanted? It gave him cause to ponder. He knew the same way that he knew he had fingers what he didn't want. But what was the negation? Was the negation of what he wanted ever something that manifested in the positive? I want to feel good, he said, the words eking out like a shy mouse leaving its home for dangerous territory. The creature's bill clicked as it seemed to consider the statement. The white head turned from side to side, giving each eye an opportunity to inspect him.
That's it? You summoned me, Epos, Count of Hell and one of its princes, to do what a hooker could do?
He flung his hands out before him, waving them while shaking his head. No, not like that.
Then like what?
He leaned forward on his thighs and ran his fingers through his hair. I didn't think it'd be this hard. Epos ruffled the feathers along its neck and honked.
Me neither. What's your problem?
With a sigh, he tossed off the blankets, flinging his legs over the side of the bed. I don't know.
With all due respect, why the heck did you call me then?
He cocked a quizzical glance at the demon, who seemed once again to read his mind.
I don't like swearing.
It sighed as if it had already had this conversation before. Its beady black eyes seemed to roll.
It's unsophisticated and does nothing for my image. Demons are more civilized than you'd think. Ever seen Hellraiser? I even have a swear jar to keep me honest.
When this explanation failed to relieve the strange expression, Epos raised its paws.
Look, I'm trying, and that's what counts.
He considered encouraging the creature, but sensed that it would only increase the burgeoning awkwardness.
Anyway, this isn't about me. You brought me here, so let's figure this out.
Epos gestured to the door.
Let's get some coffee. Humans can't think straight when they are unmedicated.
The dark bruise fragrance expanded across the entire apartment like a nebula. Epos sat at the kitchen table, back straight, paws on the edge, drumming its fingers. Its mane fluttered against the breeze of the air conditioner with the erratic dance of candlelight. He set a mug before Epos and took the chair across from it. The creature shook its head with a small gesture more reminiscent of humanity than anything else he'd witnessed Epos do. Waving the beverage away with a huge paw, it replied,
Thanks, but unless you've got decaf, I'll pass.
He fidgeted with the mug. Can I get you anything? Considering the offer for a moment, Epos took pause, but then seemed to think better of it.
So what's your deal? Are you lonely?
On the black surface of the coffee, his reflection trembled while he raised the mug to his lips. No. Epos leaned back.
Horny?
He shrugged. Sometimes. It's not a problem.
Sure. Everyone gets horny sometimes. You don't summon a demon to get your rocks off. At least, you don't summon one with a goose's head. Citri, maybe.
It eyed him sidelong as if waiting for a reaction, and seemed disappointed when none came.
Anyway, you're not lonely, not horny. Important distinctions to make. So then, what are you?
Again, the seemingly simple question was difficult to answer. Epos drummed its fingers against the table as it waited, unwilling, or perhaps unable, to help. How could a powerful, otherworldly creature understand what he was going through? How could anything, anybody?
Do you feel powerless?
No. Well, yes, but I don't want power.
What the heck does that even mean?
I just want to take back my life. Epos lowered its neck on its shoulders and stretched it out straight, orange bill wide and tongue lunging from its maw. Protruding barbs ridged the inside of its beak and along the edges of its tongue.
You haven't lost it, hombre. This is it. You've got what you've got. Now, do you want to be a CEO or something?
He sipped the coffee and then shook his head. No, absolutely not.
Why the heck not?
I don't want to be in charge of other people. I just want to be in charge of myself.
There's a lot of cocaine in the CEO business, and I hear humans love cocaine.
I don't want cocaine.
What about a trust fund?
Again, he shook his head.
Hose? You want some hose? 50 Cent loved pimping. It completed him.
Isn't that like being a CEO? Epos stroked its neck, conceding the point. Then it snapped its fingers.
I know a Lamborghini. Everyone loves Lambos.
I don't think that would help.
Don't knock it till you've tried it. Justin Bieber was a wreck until I got him a Lambo.
I don't even know where I'd park it.
Fuck, dude!
Epos honked, slamming its fists against the table. The mug jumped into the air and landed on its side, spilling hot coffee onto the floor. While the demon leaned forward, mortified, he retrieved a roll of paper towels from the kitchen. Then it produced a mason jar with a modest pile of coins from its stringy mane. Dropping a quarter through the slot in the top, the demon shook its head.
2,000 years. I was proud of that streak.
It drummed the table again, its head weaving in short, agitated jerks.
Look, I'm not a therapist, and I don't get paid by the hour, so I'm going to make an executive decision here.
It reached back into the mess of matted fur hanging from its shoulders and produced a spiral notebook. He blinked. A notebook? Epos waved a finger at him.
A journal. A 5-star, no less. Built strong to last long.
It gestured for him to take it. The pages were blank. He held a few up to the light, looking for hidden messages. He put his nose to the paper. Nothing special. Epos stood up, dusting its hands off each other.
Well, I feel pretty good about all of this. You're welcome. Don't forget to refer me to your friends.
Wait, what am I supposed to do with this? The demon turned and looked at him like he was stupid.
You write in it.
That's it?
Every day.
He ran a hand over the dark blue cover. A black Bic pen jutted from the metal coil. Nothing fancy. Just a pen. Just a notebook. He looked up to tell the demon thank you, but found that he was alone. He opened up to the first page and uncapped the pen. At first, the empty lines intimidated him, but before he was even aware of it, he wrote, "The worst part about the pills working is that I no longer want to kill myself." It wasn't much, but it made him feel a little better. In hell, Epos poured a cup of decaf.
Thank you for sharing my nightmares and helping me carry the grief. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You can find more stories at nightmaresandgrief.com. Thanks again for listening. Peace.